Boom. One Piece chapter 1141. Let's talk about it. But first off, real quick, I want to talk about that last episode of Dragon Ball Daima. I thought it was fantastic. Shouts out to the team at Toei for keeping the dream alive. That final Kamehameha with Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Goma was phenomenal. I hope Granola and Moro get the same treatment and care one day. Yeah, it was just great. Secondly, I got to see the One Piece LA Lakers collab last night or yesterday. I thought that was really cool because I used to hoop back in the day, and LeBron's always been one of my favorite players. So to see them share the court in some kind of capacity felt really special. Once again, shout out to Toei for making that possible. Moving on to the cover page, we have Oti looking more and more frustrated with her and her brother Page One's situation as time goes by. They're still tied up by Who's Who in his gang, just having a merry time. I hope Yamato saves them like any day now. I hope she just swoops in and saves the day, because I have this theory that in the end of the story, they'll be a part of the One Piece Alliance. I feel like just because we didn't see any Beast Pirates on the mural or the mantle that Frankie saw doesn't mean that they won't be a part of the team in the end. So I feel like that's definitely a strong possibility, and I think Yamato may be the bridge for that, you know, the one doing Luffy's job of convincing them why they should be on our side. So we'll see what happens there. Moving on, we start the chapter off with Nami crying. She's upset she couldn't leave the quest castle with any jewels. Kind of unfortunate, but I feel like she's gonna be the Denzel of the group at the end of the chapter because she's leaving with something, and I think that was her indicator. She's a little loud though about the details because the giants who were knocked out are on the boat. They're taking them to get med care, and they can sort of hear her, and they're a little confused. They're like, what? Low-key jewels? We're like, what are they talking about? So Roto sort of starts to panic, like, oh, nothing, just relax. She's just upset. And then after that, we sort of catch up with Frankie and Ripley. She's still giving him a tour of the Atom Tree, and she's breaking down their infrastructure. We learn about a certain branch where a village used to be, but it was struck down by lightning, and the fire from it made it inhabitable, so they had to chop it down to save the rest of the village. Something pretty noble most of us would do. And then we learn of Elbaf's biggest weakness, which is, of course, lightning and fire. So we'll see how that knowledge comes into play later. Hopefully the God's Knights don't take advantage, because we all know that could be one of the worst things to happen to Elbaf, and probably why there have been so many destruction flags coming from everyone, especially Gabon lately, saying, if it's still safe by the time you guys are leaving, come find me. So prayers for Elbaf in the chat. And now we're back at the party. Usopp's faded. Nami is covering for Zoro and Luffy because they're off doing what they're not supposed to do. Usopp introduces Nami to the Elder Giant. They start having fun. He thinks she's beautiful, so Usopp picks at him thinking she may be his type, but he informs us that he's into older women as a gag. That's when Usopp reacts like he can't believe it, so he does the good old smack on the back of the head. Instead, this smack on the back of the head is the giant sword sticking out of his, so you know it hurts him. So as expected, he gets picked up by Dory. He tells him like, yo, chill out, we know you faded, but you can't keep up with a man at a party. So he's not really hearing them. It's cool. We got to see Brook. He's drunk and his head is where his yeah should be. He's playing his cool skeleton guitar, and it's always nice to see Brook just in his element, vibing, not having too much to worry about, not too many pirate things going on. He's just in his musician bag. I love seeing that. Everybody's just chilling, doing their thing. They're enjoying the party until Sanji questions where Gerd ran off to. We then jump to an infirmary and we find Gerd and Roto inside. They're treating the two giants who were knocked out earlier. Roto's trying his best not to give up the information he knows on why he was there, what Luffy was doing. But Gerd's on his ass. She knows something's up. He starts sweating bullets, so she threatens to tell the elder. That's when he's like, no, you don't want to be a party pooper. He's vibing, this ain't really the best time. So she's like, okay, whatever. That's when, you know, they turn around from each other, and while he's trying to weigh his options on some sneaky ish, she knocks him out with his club, and she's gonna get answers from him whether he likes it or not. Now we're on page 7, and we get one of the first double spreads of the chapter, mirroring our very first introduction of Loki. Zoro notes how this description doesn't match the one Luffy gave him on the way, because he's all bloodied and beaten up. The animals are on the ground, they're not moving, they're not looking too good. But Luffy knows what he saw earlier, so he jumps onto Loki to start the whole freeing him process. But Zoro tells him to wait. Let's think about this for a bit, which I love to see personally. They then debate on freeing Loki, and I think it's cool seeing them go back and forth like that. I don't think we've gotten too many direct captain and vice captain interactions, so to see it on this level is pretty dope. It's nice to see them working together in this way, because I know a lot of times Oda may make these kind of decisions off screen, so it's cool to see, you know, them doing the math before just coming to an answer. Zoro's all for freeing him. He just wants to have a conversation to see what kind of guy he really is, because we all know Zoro's a pretty good judge of character, and I respect it, because if they let him loose and he starts wilding out immediately, it's on them. So yeah, you just got to be sure sometimes. That's when Zoro decides to climb on top of Loki and just straight up kick him in the stomach, just to know if he was faking his injuries or not, which we know he wasn't. After Loki's loud scream, he concludes he's not faking, so they move on. It's not a problem. They start freeing him. That's when he wakes up, and we get this epic POV of Loki and Zoro looking at each other for the first time. I think that may be the coolest shot in the whole chapter, besides the final panel. But that didn't last too long, because as soon as he lets off his whole damn you, he just flops back down, and Zoro assumes he's dead, and that's his fate. And we get a funny remark from Luffy saying, you could be such a jerk sometimes, but you gotta keep it real, bro. You gotta keep it real. You gotta know how to keep it real. You gotta know when to keep it real. And it's good to have people like Zoro willing to keep it real on your squad. Everybody needs a Zoro. But even after all of that, Zoro decides they'll go through with it, but they're gonna leave some sea stone cuffs on his leg just in case, to nullify any immediate devil fruit activities he may have. And they know they'll need medical attention, and they want to ask Chopper to keep things on the low, but he's too far at the library, so they'll have to settle with someone in a nearby village or back at the party. And as they start freeing Loki, they mention being banished because they see it coming. They know what they're doing is wrong, but Luffy sees it as long as I'm freeing someone who needs help and the animals like me, it's no problem. We just got to go along with it. I feel like they could have done a better job of going about it, but sometimes you just got to trust your captain. So I'm all for it. I'm just like Zoro. I don't really recommend it, but you the captain, so I'm gonna help you. They mentioned how they'll need food for the trip, because they know it'll be a while before they probably can re-up. And he suggests taking the animals that Luffy beats down, but he gets at him like, hell no, those are my homies now. Like, you know, once you're a friend, you're off the menu. You know, he hit him with the Finding Nemo. Fish are friends, not food. That's when they're about to leave and start searching for a doctor, but they notice something funny falling out of the sky. And with another double spread, we see it's the new giant pirate crew falling out of the sky, doing their best to warn Luffy to not go through with his plan. They use the island clouds to travel to their last drop, and now that they're out, they're just free falling. They're pretty sure they're gonna die, but Luffy saves them with his gum balloon technique. Gerd falls out, so she's safe, but the rest end up being sit back in the air Kind of like Team Rocket, but that's what I hope happens to Who's Who and his crew. They come back crashing, they thank Luffy, they get acquainted, and they just immediately start asking him to not go through with it. It's not worth it. This guy is not cool. Please don't do it. But by then, Luffy and Zoro are shook. We get one of the funniest Luffy panels in a while, in my opinion. This face was so funny. And then we get Zoro just saying it might be a little too late. And then that's when we get the panel of the year, maybe, so far. We finally get Loki standing on his own 2 feet, still shackled with a little bit of sea stone, but he's up nonetheless. And he's holding his giant sword named Ragnar, and we all know what that is short for. So destruction is on the way. I don't know how to contain my excitement. This is gonna be crazy. This isn't a cliffhanger, this isn't a warning, this isn't a drill. He's here and we're gonna see what he does. I can't wait. See you guys next week. Peace.